Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining this session. This is day one of Oracle integration training where we will learn OIC from basic to advanced. While covering basic to advanced, we will cover all these components available in OIC to that creating large application which can interact with different systems. So this is day one, and this day one we will have a brief on Oracle integrations. We will explore the uses of OIC, the real life example, and offerings provided by Oracle Cloud's integrations. And in last, we will cover the components available in OIC, which includes adapter, connections, and many more. So let's move the slide, and we'll talk about introduction to OIC, where we will have a brief on Oracle integration services. So Oracle Integration Cloud Services, which is also known as OIC, is a comprehensive, secure, and lightweighted integration platform. When we are saying that integration, it means that it is a platform where we can integrate multiple systems together to transform data to each other. OIC simplify the connections between cloud-based application, and yes, it's also a work to make a connectivity with non-cloud application or that on-premise applications like EBS and any other system. OIC is a PaaS applications offered by Oracle to connect and streamline our business applications. It's a middleware service that help us to transmit our data from one system to another system. Oracle integration seamlessly integrate on-premise applications with Oracle Cloud applications. That includes Workday, Salesforce, any other cloud application like Oracle HCM, Oracle ERP, Salesforce, WMS, CPQ, and many more. Oracle Integrations Cloud Services provide native connectivity to softwares that's known as that software SaaS as a service. Applications such as Oracle Sales Cloud, Oracle HCM Cloud, CPQ, and many more applications. In this session, we will whatever practice or we will learn about Oracle Integration Generation 3. Oracle Integration Generation 3 is a latest instance, latest PaaS software where we will create our integrations applications. So in the screen, you are able to see this is the Oracle Integration Generation 3 instance, and this is old instance, that's Generation 2 instance, OIC Generation 2. So we will all the practice and all the implementation we will do on Oracle Integration Generation 3 only. Now, just for brief, that the flow of Oracle integration and that OIC application, how it works. So OIC, as we know that OIC is a middleware application. This middleware application help us to interact with the third-party system. And the third-party system can be any applications. Even in front of OIC, Oracle Fusion application, that is Oracle ERP, is also third-party system in case of OIC. So you can see in OIC, we can interact with Oracle EBS, we can interact with Salesforce, SAP, file server, database, and many more systems we can interact with. And when we are talking about interact, so yes, OIC can extract the data from all these systems, or OIC can send the data to the systems. So it's all inbound and outbound, both applications we can create using OIC. And yes, OIC having flexibilities and features to send an email to notify the users. So once we will consume the data from this legacy system in OIC after performing transmission, doing operations, we can notify user by sending an email. We can create a log file which we can place to our file server. Whatever file we will receive, we can archive that file at file server. That all operations we can perform using OIC. OIC having their components, their endpoints which can connect with Oracle ERP applications, Oracle Fusion applications, and many more. Let's move to the next slide where we'll see that the example of OIC where it can be utilized. So one common example of that OIC can be that suppose there is an educational institute, they are having their B2B system which is storing the information of a student available in their education department or institute. It includes student admission details such as admission exam details, their marks, and many more details, scholarships and all. Admission departments having all the student admission related information, and institute want to load all the information into that B2B database. So for that, obvious, like for that information that can be used by the other department, just like library, their maze, hostel system, their scholarship department and all. So the same information can be utilized to other system. So in this case, here you can see our source system is admission department, where they are taking admission of a student, taking the information, and that information they want to transfer to their B2B database. So how it will process? So that's why OIC comes in the picture, that as a middleware application between admission department services and the B2B database services. So admission department will share student information in a CSV file over file server. OIC will get the file from file server and load into B2B database table. That OIC having the flexibilities to connect with file server, having that concept to connect with the database. And once this will be loaded, OIC will send an email notification to respective department that all the information of the student, whatever they say, they loaded into the database table. And after that, OIC will archive the file to moving from source directory to any other directory. I will show you one simple example integrations created for this example. So the flow, you can see, if we will see the flow, so it will start from OIC. So when OIC integration will be started, OIC will pick the file from admission department file server, just like saying that download the file from file server. It will read the file content, file data. It will do the validations and data massaging. And after doing all the validations and all, the final data will be submitted to database. That's the B2B database. And after sending the data to B2B database, they will send an email to B2B user, and same email can be sent to the admission department's user. And once all this be processed, even the same file which we receive from archive source directory of admission department, the file can be archived to the archival directory of the admission department. So that all operations we can perform using OIC. That's a simple flow of applications created in OIC. Here you can see this is Oracle Integration Generation 3 OIC applications we created. This is having the flow that we created all these things. We read the file, we assign the file to that to the email, inserted the record into database table and all. So here you can see. So this is a B2B. This is admission department file server, where they place the student simple student file. That the CSV file. This student file contains the student information, that the admission information, just like a student roll number, name, their class, and the admission date with remarks. And then when OIC will execute, so you can see B2B database table having empty record. Right now we don't have any records in the table. Once OIC integration will be executed, so here we come to that OIC. This is our integration FOIS INT002 IN student details. Once we executed this integration, after execution of this integrations, whatever record we have in that file, that record inserted into this table, you can see. And the file which we have, file got archived in that processed folder. That's concept of archive. So you can see student sample file.csv was the data file we received. It's archived the data file by concatenating the timestamp.archive. This is the flow we are going to see. And once this will be completed, Oracle integration will send an email. You can see voice email services. Send an email to respective team owners, respective team department, that can be the instrument department or it can be the B2B department, and they will inform that file has been processed successfully, total 3 records or whatever number of records loaded. So this is the message we can change. So this message email sent by OIC integration only once the file or integration process completed. We can change the design and look and feel in this OIC notification. This will also learn in upcoming sessions. So let's move to the OIC instance, where I will show you this application, right? So here you can see this is database table. This is database table of B2B system. So if I will execute this query, that FOAS S2N table doesn't have any record, right? So this record is empty. If you will move to the file server, you can see in the source directory, that is OIC/prod emp, having that the student information, that student sample file.csv. And if you want to see the data, you will be able to see the data inside this file. You can see, right, the CSV data, roll number, name, class, admission, and all same data. It will be inserted into table. So I will show you how. So now this is the database. Let's move to that integration. So this is our Oracle Integration Generation 3 instance. So this is our integrations created. Let me open this integration to just give you brief on that. So that I will run the integration, I will show you the process. Using schedule, integration got started. We created few variables to store some information. After that, we added endpoint to download the file from file server. And whatever data we receive from file server, we inserted data into this database table. After that, we send an email. And once emails got sent successfully, we archived the file using this endpoint and integration got stopped. That's really quite simple integrations. In upcoming days, we will create the same integration in quite larger frame. So this is the integration, right? I will show you each and everything one by one. Don't worry about that. Just for brief, I am displaying you here. So now I'm going to run this integration. So I'm just going to click on this run. So once I will run here, you can see this is the integration name and having the option to run. So once I will click on this run, this integration will be executed and it will process the same flow which I explained you, right? So this is the integration flow log messages. So once you will refresh, it will be able to see all this endpoint here. So here you can see integration got started, triggered using the schedule endpoint. After that, we added variable assigned to create variables. After that, we added endpoint to read the file from FTP server. You can see read FTP. It's having the option that it's read the data. If you will click here, you will be able to see the data which it's read from file server. You can see the roll number, name, and all. So once it reads the data, after reading the data, it's inserted data into table. So you can see this is the ATP database table of B2B. So the same data which we receive from file server, the same data got inserted into table. So here you can see this is the payload or this is the data we are passing to integration to insert into table. You can see. So roll number, name and all. So once this get data inserted into database ATP table, after that we send an email notification. This email notification store the same information which we share. This is the CC email, the to email, the email body, that file has been processed and total 3 records submitted, all these things. And after that file got archived, you can see invoke archive FTP. So once all this process completed, integration got a stop. You can see process completed. And it was like that only. So once integration will be executed, this is the file, right? If you will refresh, the file will removed here because OIC already removed this file from here. Now file gone. If you will go to the processed folder, if you will refresh here, the same file will available here. You can see that 352 in 19 seconds. Just right now it's loaded to a file here. This is the file. So this file process comes into the process folder just like archive. Let's move to the database table. So you can see this is the database table. If I will execute here, you will see 3 records inserted into this table. But this table having few additional columns or extra columns. So all these extra column we pass from OIC, so that this all consider as a who columns, so that we can identify this record inserted by which integration and what time. And also you can see this is the unique instance ID, that is the group ID for this integration. So all these 3 record hit inserted in a single hit, that's the group ID. This is the integration name by which integration got this record got inserted. This is the same integration name FOS underscore 90001 in student details. You can see here in the integration name. This is the same integrations, and you can see this is the integration sort code. This is the creation date when this record inserted into the table. This is the created by the user of integration. You can see this is the same user who run this integration. And after that, if you'll see the last updated date. So as this is the first time, that's why last updated date and last updated by the same. If suppose another user have updated this record, they will update these two values. So you can see, right? So that's the way, like when created integration, it's executed all the flow. And you can see we have the email. So if you will go to the email, you can see I received this email, OIC mail confirmation just now. So once I will open here, you can see, hi team, file has been processed, 3 records successfully loaded. 3 minutes ago, we received the file, right? So this is the complete flow of that Oracle integration, which will send the notification to the user from OIC and insert data into table, read the data file from file server, various operations integrations can do. Let's move to the another example. So you can see this is the another test cases where a company using Oracle Fusion ERP application for purchasing goods from supplier. After delivery, the supplier send an invoice to buyer organization. The buyer needs to enter this supplier information, that is supplier invoice or AP invoice, into their Oracle Fusion ERP system. So earlier before OIC, what was the process? So it was manual process, and what challenges we were facing, that manually entering invoice is feasible only for few records, right? Few volumes of data, just like 10 to 15 records. However, for large volumes of data, it can be 10,000, hundreds, lakhs of records. It's really difficult for user to manually insert into that application, that Oracle Fusion application. And obviously, it can be mistakes and we can get error various time. That's why OIC comes in the picture. So OIC will ask, or we will ask that suppliers to send their invoice at file server, invoice information in a file. OIC will read the file from their file server. That OIC automates the process by fetching the file CSV file from supplier file server containing the invoice details from the supplier. OIC reads all the records and process the file, extracting each invoice record. Using API, OIC then automatically insert the invoice record into Oracle ERP system, which we saw, right? So that kind of things OIC can do. And when OIC will do all these things, we have more benefits. We have the error handling part. Suppose any error got inserted error while inserting records, inserting into Oracle Fusion application. That's a supplier missing invoice, invalid invoice number, amount is not correct, and all. We can generate an error message to the respective suppliers or the to the respective user for Oracle Fusion application, so that they can track and they can reprocess the same file again next run. Right. So benefits, if you will see, it will time saving because like it will not take much time. It will automate. It will work automatically. It can handle the error and many more. Right. So that's the benefit of OIC we have. Now, when we're talking about Oracle Integrations Cloud, that Oracle Integrations Cloud offers three different services. The three different services conclude that Oracle Integration Cloud Services, that is OIC, or that or Integration Cloud Services ICS, both are same. So that OIC is a middleware which help us to connect with different system which we saw right now. Then another services is PCS, that is known as Process Cloud Services. It helps us to automate the business process just by adding the adding the approval hierarchy and all. So just like in EBS we have workflow, in BPM Oracle Fusion we have BPM and all. So that the approval hierarchy kind of concept we can add. And the third and most important one, we have Visual Builder Cloud Services, that's known as VBCS. So using VBCS, we can create multiple applications, that web pages can easily be migrated or merged with Oracle Fusion applications. It's Oracle VBCS is not only limited to web application, it's using that also you can create mobile applications so that your Fusion applications can be handled using mobile only. So that kind of things we have offer provided by Oracle. So let's move to the next slide where we will discuss about the components of OIC and we'll get brief on that. And in upcoming sessions, we will have a look on each and every components of OIC. So now here in the next slide, you can see the first components available here. The basic components is adapters. So in OIC, adapters help us to identify the third-party system or legacy system for which we are going to create integration, to which we have to connect. That pre-built components that facilitate seamless connectivity between various applications and services, enabling data exchange without extensive code. We don't write to code to connect with the different system, just we have to use adapters. Then we have agent. Also, that agent is a lightweight service that run on on-premise to enable secure data transfer between cloud application and on-premise application. So as we know that OIC is a cloud applications, to come if we have to connect that OIC with the non-cloud application, agent will work here. Agent help us to do that. Same way we have connection. Connection is going to using connection we can define that the which third party system we are going to connect by which security method. Either it's user password or that SSN and all many things. We have lookup. So using that lookup, we can achieve we can get runtime values in Oracle integrations. We have libraries. Sometimes we have to create additional logic in OIC that cannot be achieved by OIC itself. That's why we will use libraries to create JavaScript function in OIC. We have packages to combine multiple integrations together so that we can just easily find that integration for a specific modules, specific domains and all. That integrations we talk about, we are working on that. We will learn. that the application which will automate or which will connect with the different system. Also in OIC we have event. Event help us to create application in such a way that application can be invoked or triggered from other applications. So let's first talk about the first component, which is adapters. So adapters are the endpoint of any integration solution so that they can interact directly with their business application. For example, if in OIC you have to connect with that Oracle database, you have to use Oracle database connections, that Oracle database adapter. If you have to connect with HRMS system, you have to use HRMS adapters. If you have to connect with Salesforce, you have to select Salesforce adapters and many more. Adapters do the actual connection with application resource and manage application transactions, security exceptions, and so on. Adapter helps securely configure connection between integrations cloud and other system using authentication methods by username, password, and handle. All these username password can be configured in connections. We'll see that too. Some adapters are provided by Oracle, that is Oracle Cloud ERP adapters, FTP, ATP, file server or file adapters, Oracle EBS adapters, REST adapter to connect to invoke REST services, SOAP connection to connect with SOAP web services, Oracle database, SAP, and many more. Let's move to the next slide to discuss about the agent. So as we discuss, agent is that agent help us to connect our OIC, that is cloud application, to any non-cloud applications. Agent is something like working as a bridge between that non-cloud applications to OIC. With the help of agent, we can access any non-cloud applications or that on-premise applications directly in OIC. Agents are used by OIC to connect to the on-premise entities such as local database or local file server or EBS applications and many more. For example, if you are using on-premise system like EBS, SAP, and also using Oracle OIC, in the same implementation, you would like to have an agent to connect to OIC to that such specific applications. When we will go to OIC, we will learn all these things that how we can use agents and all. Let's move further and we'll discuss about connections. Connection help us to create connectivity between the third party system which is identify adapters. So while creating connections, you have to use adapters so that adapter will identify that which third party system or legacy system you have to connect. And in connections, you have to provide user password and all the details which required to make a connectivity with the third party system. Just for brief, connections are the various connectors that can be utilized to communicate with external applications. That can be the legacy system. Communication can be done with conversational systems like file connections or the FTP, that is SFTP and all. Also with new social media apps like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, all these things we have adapters available to connect with this system. We need to create connections by using the adapters available. That's true. Connections are based on adapters. If you want to connect with file server, we have to use FTP adapters. Now coming next, we have lookup. So lookup is that's something that we can utilize to provide runtime value in integrations. Using lookups, we can get values. That values can be available, accessible all over the applications created in same integration instance. We use lookup in integrations to create a reusable table that's map the different term uses to describe the same item across your application. For example, in a OIC instance, you created 4 integrations. All the 4 integrations can access the lookups created in that instance. Lookup is also like achieved by key and pairs values. Key and values. For this example, this is the lookup table. So in this lookup, our key is int code. Based on this int code 1001, you can get integration name, integration identifier, integration source path, file name, and many more details. We will learn all this in details in upcoming scene. So as I told you, library is something that where we can create JavaScript function, which we can use or utilize in our integrations to achieve some additional logics and all. In Oracle integration, JavaScript is used to enhance integrations flow by adding custom logic and processing capabilities. It allows developers to create reusable libraries For data transformation, invoking external services like AIP, APIs, enforce business rules, and manage error handling. By using JavaScript, OIC integrations become more flexible and can tolerate to meet a specific business requirement, making complex workflow easier to manage and automate. Here we can create functions which can be used in integrations. That function is going to be a JavaScript functions. Functions can be configured in libraries editor page and can utilize over the all integrations created in that instance. Now we have packages. Package help us to combine multiple integrations together in a same name so that it can be easily identified. That when talking about the package, so if we will add multiple integration in a same package, and if we have to make a export of that all integrations, we can simply take a package export and all integrations will be exported. So that's are the major changes, major use of packages in OIC. And yes, the mount component is applications, that integration application which we have to create to communicate with different systems. This is the main OIC we have to work on. So this is all about day one. And yes, we cover basic of OIC to the components of OIC. Thank you so much everyone for joining. If you have any other queries and you want to ask any questions, anything, don't forget to unmute yourself and ask your queries. And yes, if you are watching this video in YouTube channel, don't forget to make your comment with your queries so that we can reach out to you and we can provide you that specific solution for your queries. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Let's join in another session.